What's up, guys? Welcome to NMD TV Canes all day. If you're rocking with the U, then you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button so you never miss out on a video. A big shout out to the Kane Gang members. I appreciate you guys so much this week. Members, make sure you check it out for the Members Only podcast. I'm going to be rewatching the Florida State game, going over some stuff, so make sure you're looking in that section. And if you want to get signed up with the Members Only section, click that link in the pinned comment for exclusive content. I appreciate you guys more than you know, but today is Monday, and we always listen to what Mario Cristobal has to say to Joe Rose. If you want to get this interview, just the interview, then make sure you look for the link in the comments or description. But I'm going to give my thoughts as we listen. I appreciate you guys. Mario Cristobal, Joe Rose Show, Miami 8-0. Let's go.
And run the football and play great defense, and it sure enough happened in the big rivalry game. Good morning and congratulations, Coach.
Good morning, Joe. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, man, we got a lot to get to, but before we do, what you went through with one of your top running backs, Mark Fletcher, losing his father, want to get into. We knew a few days before. Hell, I didn't even know how to handle it, if it was out yet. But, stuff starts to come out there in social media.
And I just want to stop right there. And as a content creator, that's how I feel in these situations. Anytime something like this happens, I'll say RIP, thoughts and prayers. But I never want to be the first one to mention it because I don't know how the player wants it talked about. And I never want to say too much because sometimes you can just get to talking and it's a lot of word salad. But the best thing I can say is RIP to Mark Fletcher Sr. And shout out to Mark Fletcher for dealing with this situation, going through it, playing the game because that's something that's not easy. But shout out to you for not only playing the game, but playing with it in a fashion that I think would make your father proud. And also shout out to the Miami Hurricanes, Mario Cristobal, because I felt like the whole team was there for Mark. And I feel like you find out who really riding with you in tough times. And just to see his teammates and his coach say nothing but glowing things for him, I know it has to make Mark feel a little bit better, So shout out to Mark Fletcher and thoughts and prayers with your family.
You lose your father, who I had a chance to meet, Mark Fletcher Sr., and what a great guy he was, his father. Walk me through going through something like that with a guy that just in the last few days had lost his father like that, Coach, and getting him ready or whether he's going to play or not.
Well, I think that Mark Fletcher Jr. at 21 years old is an unbelievable example for all of us on how to handle the toughest circumstance you could imagine. We all know, Mark Sr., I mean, he's like a staple at practice, man, out here all the time. Just tremendous amount of energy, love and appreciation. Absolute, just awesome human being. And his son embodies all those traits and more. And, it's as difficult as it gets, Joe, but to see a guy at this stage in his life to be able to handle what he did and to want to be here, to want to be around his teammates, the way his teammates surrounded and circled around him and loved him up and lifted him up. It's it's one of the best things I've ever seen in sports.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I also want to say shout out to Mark Fletcher for another reason, right? When the whole Damian Martinez situation was brought up in the offseason, there was a podcast interview. It is on my channel that Mark was a part of. I didn't do the podcast. It was a podcast clip. But Mark was like, yeah, I called up Damian Martinez and I said, bro, I need you here. We need you here. And I just think about how easy it could have been for Mark Fletcher to say, it's my time to shine. Henry Parrish is gone. Don Chaney's gone. I'm the new young buck in town. I'm about to get all the carries. But Mark Fletcher didn't fake the funk. He was proactive and said, look, I called him and said, come here. And Damien's also talked about that too. And it's just really dope to see how our running back room acts. And it's really dope that Mark did that in the offseason. And now you see by him being selfless, you see how much better the team is with Damien Martinez, Mark Fletcher, A.J. Allen, Jordan Lyle.
The way you guys rallied around him, your comments after the game, the one, you always see how the leader of the pack handles things, Coach, and you talked about, well, now he's got the best seat in the house to be even closer to this situation, and I thought that was just really well said by you about going through it. Boy, Mark goes out and plays a hell of a game along with Damien Martinez. I thought the run blocking and really getting after him, and they got some pretty good, as you know, one of them used to play for you here, how good that defensive line was. What'd you think about the run blocking before we get into the two 230-pound running backs?
Yeah, really did a good job up front, hammering the football, inside zone, power, counter, some little bit of wide zone, some duo, and if you look at it, we averaged about 7 yards a pop, and they were playing too high or some form of an middle open look for a lot of it, trying to bracket the slot, trying to bracket Restrepo, and trying to get a guy over the top of Arroyo. So there were some things to be had, and they were going to have to hold up, and the O-line just did a great job ripping off the ball. The tight ends did an awesome job on split zone, just whacking those defensive ends, and we made it the kind of game that it had to be. They weren't going to let anything get behind them, so you had to gut it out, and our guys did a really good job.
I just thought it was funny that, I think that's definitely a strategy. I'm not going up against their strategy because I think Florida State had a good strategy. Play defense, don't get beat deep, and see if Cam can stay patient. Shout out to Cam for taking his checkdowns and staying patient. But if they didn't think for 1 second Mario Cristobal was going to say, you going to light box me all day? Hey, you think I don't want to pound this rock? And that's exactly what they did. And when you got our running backs, they're gonna pound that rock. When you got our offensive line, run blocking wise, they were amazing. Did give up 4 sacks, but the physical nature of pounding a rock, I just love it, man. There's a picture going around of Martinez not running over, but he's past Earl Little Jr. and Earl Little's face is just in the ground. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I love the fancy deep throws and stuff like that, but it's something about lining up and just running a rock and saying, I'm going to beat you into submission.
Yeah, and Coach, we're going to talk about the defense because obviously they played really well in the game, but I did want to ask you about pass protection, the blitzes. Did they do something? Were you happy with the pass protection overall?
You know what? They got us a couple times. Once we got beat inside on an outside pressure where the tackle overset it, and one time we probably underset it, and got a little bit too much push inside. And the other ones, man, coverage was pretty tight on some throws that have to get out. And Cam was doing his best to get out of there, and the pocket just closed on him. So there's some positive things and some other things that we got to clean up. So some hit and misses, but for the most part, there's a lot of good stuff.
So the Damien Martinez, man, we're starting to see it like late in the game, and he starts punishing people, and the 53-yard run, and again, just so physical, his balance. And the big guys I have really noticed here recently in the last few games, when he breaks it and he gets down there, they're chasing the play because they know he's not going down very easily, and he picks up some extra horsepower with the weight behind him. Yeah,
maybe he felt he was in his Oregon State uniform, ripping, some runs out there. But, yeah, the big guys, those are a lot of 600- and 700-pound squatters. And they're really athletic. They can run, and they also know that as the game goes on, Damien's really hard to tackle. So is Mark. And in the third and fourth quarter, man, you could take some of those arm tackle plays, and if you just sink their hips and get in those piles, who knows what could happen? And I think we saw the result of that on Saturday.
And I just love fourth quarter football because In the fourth quarter, think about it. All game, you're chasing Cam Ward. Cam Ward, you think you got him sacked. He juking you. You're going left and right, left and right. Then we start handing the ball off to our running back. We got to deal with Fletcher and Martinez. And then in the fourth quarter, we're going to bring in A.J. Allen. And I've seen A.J. Allen hurt two people. I'm not joking around. I've literally seen him, the USF game, the kid, I don't know if he ever came back out of the tent. In the Florida State guy, I don't think he ever came back. I think he did walk off on his own power. I'm glad they're okay. But you put in A.J. Allen, and he's running like he is on fire and hurting people. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Have you ever had two running backs, 230 pounds, a 1-2 punch like that?
Donald Bennett, Larry Jones. I blocked for them here at Miami way back in the day.
Wow. That was quick.
Steve McGuire was 241. Don't let him lie to you.
Oh, my gosh. That's fantastic. Oh, God. I did not know that. Hey, I thought just that opening drive was really set the tone to be able to go down the field and get that first touchdown, huh? And didn't you think that was one of the keys right off the bat?
Without a doubt. We want to make them play from behind, and when we saw strategically they were just trying to keep everything in front of them and really shorten the game. I mean, we had the ball a total of 8 times, Joe. 8 times. And we scored on 7 of them. So it was going to be a shorter game. 4 drives, I think, were 11-plus plays. You had to be really efficient.
We had the ball 8 times and scored 7. I guess the only time we didn't score is when they got those back-to-back sacks. Golly.
And you had to be patient. You get impatient in a game like that, and you start chucking it around into when you're covered pretty well, you might find yourself in a bad place. So, yeah, I'll tell you what did it was the crowd. That place was absolutely insane. And just pulling into the stadium, I think everybody was just blown away by the amount of human beings out there just getting ready to bring it as soon as the game started.
Yeah, well, listen, there was no question about that one. Hey, the defense. Been under a little heat here, like, all right, offense just can outscore everybody. It had to be nice for you to 3 for 13 on third down defensively, got off the field, giving up just 248 yards. Talk about a couple of guys that kind of stood out there, Coach, and a group of players that played well. The secondary looked like really had good coverage.
I'm trying to think who he would say. I think he's going to mention OJ. I thought OJ had a good game. Kiko still missing tackles, but I thought he did good in coverage. And I think he may bring up Bain and Mesidor. Let's see.
Yeah, they really did. They communicated extremely well, and albeit for one play, man, they were on point, on target in terms of their assignments, in terms of passing off stuff when we were in zone and sticking to their guys. When we were in man, thought guys like Jadis Richard, Kiko played well. Ruben Bain, Wesley, OJ, Frederic, they all played really well. Simeon continues to make plays. Tyler, minus the penalty. Barron did a good job, bringing some heat and keeping their quarterback under pressure. And I think once we made him one-dimensional, it changed things. We could play more coverage. We could unleash some of those exotic pressures, and that made it a difficult time for their quarterback. But he did escape us more than he needs to. He got out of the net a few times, and we missed him on some plays that we should have had some tackles for losses and some sacks. So we still got some work to do, but tremendous improvement by the defense and great job by all those guys.
Make no mistake about it, this Florida State offense is doo-doo, it's ass, it's trash, it's terrible. Our team just focusing on us. You can look at this game and you can say, yeah, they didn't score a lot. Yeah, they only had 7 throughout the game. But the bottom line is this team has to tackle better. I don't think anybody will argue with me on that. I believe, and I keep saying this because every game it gets crazier and crazier, but our defense does not get the privilege of only playing 3 downs. They have to go first down, second down, third down, and they're going to go for it on 4th down. Florida State went for it on 4th down in their own territory several times because they don't want to give the ball to Cam Ward. So it's a little bit tougher on our defense, but we can make it easy on ourselves. just by tackling better.
It was a big recruiting weekend. I obviously, because you got a lot of guys still thinking about going to Florida State. You got guys obviously wanted to see your show. How big a weekend was that for you to have so many of your top recruits in to be able to see that?
Well, they got to see everything. They got to see our team play. They got to see our style of play. They got to see our stadium. They got to see our game day environment. They got to see our fans. They got to see guys like Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin, Clint Portis on the sideline. I mean, they got to see a lot of Miami essence. Does that make sense?
Yep.
They got to feel it. They got to be around it, and I think they know that we're just kind of getting started in terms of the progress of the program. So we just want to keep working, getting better, and all focus on Duke.
I just think before we do it, we got Duke and Manny Diaz coming back and all those things, but I do want to ask you, so you let those guys talk to the team before, because Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin, if you're to look at former great players, they might be at the top of the list in the NFL of guys that you want to talk to your team with their energy and as good of players as they were.
So you know what? They do a great job in the offseason. We've had those guys here, and the message and everything that comes with it is off the charts, and it's impactful. On game day, you're so process-oriented, man. You're moving so fast. It's like in and out, and, you're kind of doing your own thing, but just having them there on the sideline, they don't need to say a word. It speaks for itself.
All right, so Manny Diaz, who's been great defensively. By the way, they play one of the craziest games. I'm sure you know this stuff already. So Duke and SMU play.
Manny Diaz, the old friend. Remember, he wrote that letter when he left. He wasn't happy that he got fired. You best believe that man is coming. He will listen. He may, if he could pull off this upset, Manny may retire and never play again. He may just call it quits. I got my dub. I got my revenge. I'm done. Now, obviously, I'm just joking, but you best believe if they got any trick plays, if they got any go-to plays, he's bringing it out.
And a game that goes to overtime, SMU wins. SMU turned the ball over 6 times and still won. I've never heard of that. I've heard.
So 2 things about that. SMU turned the ball over 6 times, which means Duke defense, they will force turnovers. They do a good job of the peanut punching the ball out. They force, I think, 3 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries. So you look at that and say, damn, Duke defense is good. But then you also look at it and realize their offense is ass, because how do you get the ball 6 times and you don't win the game? So the key is do not turn the ball over, because their defense is going to try to force turnovers. And if they can't generate yardage from their turnovers, their offense usually doesn't go anywhere.
4 when it's real lopsided in talent, but that one surprised me. And by the way, a goal line stand in there as well. What do you see from Manny Diaz and that Duke team? They're 6-2. They've had a really good year, and he's done a nice job there.
Duke's defense, they forced 6 turnovers that they got, but they forced another 3 that SMU got back.
Wow.
Not to mention, the goal line stand. So they're playing at a high level. They're a really good football team. A lot of talk about the defense, and deservingly so. They're excellent on third downs and turnover margin, red zone defense, and really a stat that doesn't get mentioned a lot is yards per play. They lead the conference in yards per play and scoring defense, but they're complemented by a really good offense as well. The offensive line is physical. They're smart. They're athletic. They get on blocks, stay on blocks. They play with good leverage. And their receivers and the timing of their passing game is really unique, because whether it's a quick game, whether it's a screen game, their shots and the way they protect it, they've been really, really effective, and they play team football. So they're a really good football team, and, it's all the teams in the ACC. I mean, you could be 8-0 or you could be 3-5. It's that tight of a margin as it relates to, closing out these games.
Yeah.
This Duke's quarterback is not very good. I like Star Thomas, and I like number 4 for Duke as a tall physical receiver. It's going to sound repetitive, but long as we tackle and we don't let them get yards after catch, their offense shouldn't be able to move the ball. The quarterback can throw a slant route, a go route, and a check down to the quarterback. That's about it.
So you had a pretty good idea. I know you haven't been around Manny, and you guys are at different times, but you got a pretty good idea what he'll try to do, especially with your offense, and you think he copies FSU, or he's got a pretty good plan of what he wants to do?
I think this whole thing is, I think even though people always try to get it's one coach against another coach. It's about the Miami Hurricanes and the Duke Blue Devils. They got a really good football team. We break them down like they break us down. They got really good players. We got really good players, and we get to play at noon over here at Hard Rock. So we pour every ounce of energy and enthusiasm into preparing our guys, and game planning is in full swing, brother. Ever since we ended that game on Saturday.
Do we really need another computer? One that's faster, more powerful? Trying to change.
We partner with.
She has sensitive skin.
Alice. Ash Mark, he is.
Your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Yeah, and I don't want to forget about somebody else here who wrote all these notes during the game. It's Borregales. My God, do you have anybody?
I don't mention him enough. Thank you, Borregales. Thank you, Borregales. I don't mention him enough. The post game, I'm talking about everything. I do not mention the consistency of Borregales. Shout out to you, my guy. They even got a cool little handshake after they make the field goal. I don't know what they're doing, but I like it, and I like the consistency. Borregales.
Is there any other brothers coming in or anybody? This guy, he looks like he's splitting the uprights. Whether it's 30, 40, 50, he is in a zone. Doesn't matter where you put him on what hash mark. He is he's one hell of a kicker, man. Just talk about his confidence, and he'll kick at the next level, right? I mean, am I missing something with this guy?
Yeah, he's an absolute creature of a kicker. I mean, he just, whatever you ask of him, he gets it done. And, I mean, that's a powerful leg, and his body's still growing. So, I mean, you're seeing kind of his rise as a football player. He's an unbelievable teammate, absolutely adored by his teammates because he pours every ounce into his dailies, and he just wants to win, man. And some of those kicks, maybe the protection isn't perfect, but his trajectory, man, and the speed of the operation is really elite. It's high level. And you saw how much room that field goal had to go, right? It had
yes.
Another, 10, 15 yards.
Yeah. So how far would you, if you had to, if it got desperate, how far back on a normal evening without the wind, how far can he go? You see him in practice every
63.
day. What's the range
63.
that he has?
I'd say up to the mid-60s. Yeah. We would do.
Wow.
I think in a game, if a game was on the line and you had to do it,
right,
you'd go 63, 65. If you're just playing ball, you're good at, you feel comfortable in his percentages when he's at 56, 58.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. By the way, Pitt, still undefeated. Clemson's playing great. I mean, you have to remind guys that, hey, listen, man, we got
Joe, we're worried about one game at a time, and right now we're worried about those Duke Blue Devils.
How do you treat it going forward? I mean, you are definitely the hunted right now the rest of the way, and, everybody starts patting you guys on the back. How do you keep the noise away from the team?
We'll never be the hunted, man. We don't believe in that. We throw all that crap out the window, and we go right to the facts and right to the film. There's so much stuff we got to get better at. It's crazy. And the best way to go at this is direct. You look at big picture, right, where everything stands, and immediately you snap it back to current where your feet are, and small picture, what we have to take care of, and that's today. We got to bust our ass today and walk through and practice in our meetings and cleaning up film and corrections and our adjustments for a completely different game plan than what we just had. And that's the way it rolls. And you know what? We still coach old school, man. And I think our players appreciate that. There's no let's just say we just coach old school, and that means instructional, technical, but intense, and with a lot of passion, a lot of energy. So that's what our guys expect from us, and that's what they're going to get today.
I wonder what was he about to say? Let me know in the comments, because he said, we coach old school. We don't do – I wonder what was he about to say?
Morrow, can you hit me now? You've had a chance to look at everything, because I can tell you've been working nonstop since that game's been over. So talk about a couple things you'd like to see the team after you win 36-14. clean up a little bit?
The fundamentals: blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, running, Joe. The simplicity of communication, alignment, assignment, and eye discipline. I mean, in November, thank God it's November and the Miami Hurricanes are playing relevant football, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff. But it's right. The weather gets a little bit different. Not here because we're crazy spoiled, but the weather gets a little bit different. The teams get better. For us, for everybody, right? Injuries start piling up a little bit. So all of a sudden, your intensity, your focus, your attention to detail and preparation becomes just completely the most important thing that you can have and do, because you're playing better teams, and the teams you're playing for the most part are alive in it as well. So you got to put all the other junk aside, get rid of people and distractions that have nothing to do with winning, man. Just get them out of the way and put your focus on just getting better and being 1-0 today.
Yeah. How do you think your quarterback played overall? I know everybody making a big deal because of the Heisman push, and he's one of the top players in the country. No touchdowns. He did make a nice catch off a great-looking play from your tight end, but how do you think he played?
He played well because, you know what? I think sometimes people don't put enough value on not throwing the ball when you don't need to throw it in a certain spot because it's covered up, and the small percentage of a big play cannot override the big percentage of a negative play. And his completion percentage was high. He converted some critical downs. The check down to Damien was one of the best plays of the game, maybe the best one. And that's because you have to be able to have the discipline to do that sometimes. He kept the sticks moving. He put us in position to score. He scored himself. I thought he played a really good game, and he didn't get greedy, right, when Florida State was kind of putting some juicy looks out there that were more of a trap than they were a good look. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think this game should make every Miami Hurricane fan really, 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 really appreciate Cam Ward, even more than we already do. Because some people can say, well, maybe Cam is going to do whatever it takes for him to get that Heisman. Well, maybe Cam is going to feed into the hype. Well, maybe Cam has to get 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. No. Cam did what he had to do to win the game. That means check down. That means throw the ball away. And it was not the most exciting thing. But when you take a step back and you look at how do you win football games, and then me and you, we take a step back and we say, last year we had a quarterback who would not throw the ball away, who would throw the ball up in harm's way. And then the interceptions kept going up and up and up and up. And then with those interceptions, the losses kept going up and up and up and up. And we sat down and thought, well, damn, we wondered how many games would we have been in if we just checked the ball down, if we just threw the ball. Well, in a rivalry game, wearing the black jerseys in a full house night game, instead of saying, I'm going to do what makes me feel good, I'm going to do what hypes me up, I'm going to do what I want to do, Cam Ward said, I'm going to do what's best for the team, and I'm going to do what's best for the offense, and I'm going to check the ball down when I have to. I'm going to throw the ball when I have to. And if I'm an NFL scout, I'm saying, I just watched this guy 2 weeks ago throw a crazy pass, and then a couple weeks ago, him saying, no, I'm going to take care of the ball. Shout out to Cam for that. And then we're up by multiple scores, and he's throwing the iPad down. Never satisfied. He wants to be better. He knows he can be better. And even when we're up by 2 scores, the standard is the standard. And he knows that, hey, I missed a couple passes, but just because I may have missed a couple passes doesn't mean I'm going to get selfish and try to just throw the ball all loosey-goosey. So, shout out to Cam, man. Because I be playing NCAA, and I be feeling hyped up just playing NCAA, and I be throwing the ball all willy-nilly and getting it picked off when I'm like, damn, I should have just ran the ball. So imagine being in that situation where you have a chance to win the Heisman, all eyes on you, but you do the winning play. Shout out to Cam, man.
No question. Mario, thank you so much, man. Duke, 12 o'clock, Hard Rock Stadium, man, and Duke's got a hell of a team for everybody. Don't make any plans. Plan on going out there. That's going to be a fun one. Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great one. Go Canes.
Do we really need another?
Hey, thank you guys. Go Canes. Keep locked in with the channel. Post a lot of content. I appreciate you guys. I'm out. Peace.